All right, time for our winners and losers of the week. As always, Ted, kick us off. Who do you have as your winner of the week?
I got to have clearly the best conference in college football, the Big Ten, with four out of the top five spots in the college football playoff ranking. Oregon at number one, Ohio State at two, Texas is three, and then you got PSU and Indiana at four and five. So clearly, if you got four out of the top five, you're the best conference in college football, right?
I I'm pretty sure that's how it works. That being said, does anyone think Indiana would beat Georgia? Does anyone think Indiana would beat Alabama? Ole Miss. I'm asking. I am asking.
You picked the wrong team out of there. Do that with Penn State. The answer is no.
I think the answer is no if you're talking about Penn State or Indiana.
Or maybe even Ohio State or Oregon. It's kind of the same with all of them to some degree.
Now the good thing is we're going to find out eventually, which is why I'm a huge fan of the 12 team playoff. We're going to see some of these SEC Big Ten matchups in that playoff, and then someone will have bragging rights.
It's almost playing out to where it would like awesome to watch, but maybe not what everyone else in college football wants, where you basically got Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, Indiana against Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia. You know what I'm saying? It's like, hey, that's a good enough playoff on its own right there. Why don't we just do that?
All the other conferences are going, no, please, no. Big 12 and ACC are hanging on with one team in.
Yeah, it's like who you guys
Please
sending?
include us.
Who you guys? We're sending SMU to compete in that mix. We're sending BYU to compete in that mix. Which good for those schools. I mean, I actually like that, but the powers that be are maybe going,
I think
how long
I
do
can
we throw these peasants a bone?
I continue to believe that when you're just talking about the overall stability of college football, that the best thing that can happen this season is for the Big Ten and the SEC to get a combined 9 teams in, to where the two power conferences, the two big boys go. We're satisfied with how this looks. Let's let's do this for a little longer, as opposed to they only get three in and then they start talking, going, "Hey, what do we want to do?"
Which takes me directly, if you're ready to jump into loser of the week.
Well, did anything really surprise you about the rankings? Boise at 13 may be the big winner of the week. They're getting some love there.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was weird to see Boise in the bracket and not Georgia.
yeah.
That took my brain a little bit to register.
That's why I had Georgia as the loser of the week because Georgia's on the outside looking in right now, which goes back to like what you were just talking about, the the powers that be. If you get how many, what say you get four teams in, but if one of the teams that you don't get in is Georgia and they don't get in because of Boise State, like that might be where the power brokers look at it and say, clearly this is a messed up system. I like where do they draw the line of being okay with it and not okay with it? Yeah, you got four teams in, but one of the teams you didn't get in is, one of like the big dogs of college football right now that's been I mean, arguably the best team in the country. I like this year's a much more difficult case, but they may have had the best team in the country the last 2 years and didn't get to participate in the playoff.
It's kind of crazy.
It is.
But as they unveiled the bracket last night, I won't lie. I thought when we were originally talking about the 12-team playoff, I was one of the people saying, "Hey, I just want the 12 best teams. I want the top 4 to get the bye. If we're going to get a bye, I don't want it to be tied to conference championships. I get why it is. I understand it. But I just wanted the top 4 teams to get a bye. And I don't think that feeling has ever been reinforced more than last night when I saw Miami with a bye. That team doesn't deserve a bye.
Mm-mm.
That's where it was at BYU. Now maybe if they go undefeated, hey, congrats. Here's your reward for being undefeated. I get why it's tied to winning your conference championship. I get that. But it feels silly to me that currently the number 9 team in the country gets a bye. That feels off.
Yeah, I guess, and this is why college football is so crazy because it's never just that easy. It should be, and we should make a system to where it is. But I part of the problem now is when you have an expanded 12-team playoff, and this is one of the things that's scary for a place like Oklahoma. Conference championships, like bowl championships, all of these historical like markers for how you judge how good a program is, that no longer matters. It's playoff appearances. So, in order to keep teams to where they care about the conference championship game, you have to dangle a carrot out there to where people really care about it. And or to where they're not just maybe resting guys in that game or I don't know, but I guess trying to make those games still relevant because they're big money producers for the networks and the conferences. So that's the way this weird puzzle goes together. It's I don't know. But I'm totally with you. I think everyone is. You know, the other thing is, like you said, you want to see the 12 best teams. Well, I do too, but I also don't with the way things are set up now. I can't, my brain, and I think there's two divergent people. There's a group that says, I want the 12 best teams, like without a doubt. I I think there's a group of people, and I'm in it, that I can't, my brain doesn't wrap, I can't wrap my head around someone in the same division. This is it. This is Division One football. There's 134 schools in the same division. Someone can go undefeated in that division and not get a chance to play for the national championship. I can't move past that. It's too ridiculous. I need things to work, like kind of where they make a little bit of sense. So I'll never be able to get past that the way it's currently formatted. But that's a discussion for a different day, I guess.
I can only imagine how you feel about Army being at 24 then. 9-0 Army.
Bye week before they play Notre Dame. And I guarantee you, there's one team in that matchup that does not want to be in that football game, and it ain't Army.
It's going to be interesting.
Did you see that 24 play 96-yard touchdown drive that took 13 minutes and 54 seconds against North Texas.
Unbelievable. Imagine being on that North Texas offense. You just don't play at all for an entire quarter.
They had 6 total possessions the entire game.
That's not fun.
No.
That's not fun at all. We'll see. Yeah, that's a big one coming up between Army and the Irish.
Yep.
Anything else? College football playoff rankings? Anything else that stood out?
I think that's it. I mean, Notre
Boise,
Dame
Boise
again
may
is
have a chance to get a bye.
yeah.
A few things have to happen. A few things have to break their way, and they've got to take care of business. But there is a
Well,
world where they
if they're
are,
ranked higher than one of the other, like if they're ranked higher than, let's say, Colorado wins the Big 12,
yeah. Remember, their only loss is, what was it, a
Oregon.
3-point loss to Oregon?
Oregon and Genty went for like 190 or something like that in that game too.
So it could happen. Boise State could get a bye.
Hey, when is the Heisman?
What do you mean?
What week has it typically been?
It's a regular season award. So
Well, 'cause
isn't it the weekend after conference championship weekend?
that may be right. Because I was wondering, I was thinking, I was like, there's not a chance that they would have that after the first round, would they? Because the first round is fairly early, but I don't know.
Heisman Trophy presentation 2024, December 14th. Saturday, December 14th is when it will take place.
So I guess that's the week before. All right.
Yeah. So, all right, let's get to my winner and loser. But first,
We are brought to you by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. The holiday season is just around the corner, and we're all looking for ways to spend and stress less. HelloFresh makes mealtime nearly hassle-free with delicious, home-delivered, chef-crafted recipes that come together quick and are less expensive than takeout. My wife and I made HelloFresh's pecan-crusted chicken with honey mustard sauce and the lemony apple salad. It's easy to make, it's healthy, it's delicious, and it was easy to follow the instructions. It only took us about 30 minutes. HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week, tailor everything to your schedule by adjusting your delivery date, or skip a week when you're not able to cook at home. Get 10 free meals at HelloFresh.com/free OK Breakdown. Now, it's applied across 7 boxes, and it's new subscribers only and varies by plan. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by going to HelloFresh.com/free OK Breakdown.
and guys, we got to tell you about Public Rec. Reached out. They were interested in advertising on the pod. We said we got to try their clothes first, and the Public Rec pants are awesome.
Excellent.
Hoodies are great. Go to publicrec.com and use code OKBreakdown for 20% off. Played golf in the pants again yesterday, Ted.
Result?
It was fine.
Okay.
Bogey golf. Bogey golf, but I was comfortable. Like to think I was comfortable and I look
You're
good.
going to play bogey golf. You need to be comfortable, man.
There's no doubt. Look like dress pants, feel like sweatpants. Things are awesome. Stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use code OKBreakdown at checkout. That's 20% off with code OKBreakdown at publicrec.com. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you found Public Rec. My winner of the week, Colorado. Ranked number 17 in the new college football playoff rankings.
Yeah.
They're 7-2. They're 5-1 in Big 12 play. They're in very good position to play for a Big 12 championship, and they're on the big stage, hosting Big Noon Kickoff this weekend against Utah, which is actually going to be a 10 a.m. local kickoff. But hey, they're not going to turn down Big Noon Kickoff. They're going to take the big stage every time. That's what Colorado's going to do. Shadur Sanders, Travis Hunter, I think they're both very much in the middle of the conversation for the Heisman Trophy. And it would not shock me if they both went out and both of these guys are at the ceremony in New York City. And I think Hunter has a tremendous chance to win it. He'd have my vote if I have one. I don't have one, but he'd have my vote if I did. So you got all that going on for Colorado. But they're my winner of the week for another reason. And it's because of a very interesting recruiting development. Julian Lewis is a 5-star quarterback from the state of Georgia. You look at the 24/7 Sports composite, he's the number 5 quarterback in the class of 2025. He's the number 31 recruit overall. And he has been committed to Lincoln Riley in USC since last August. But this season, he's been to Boulder multiple times. And in the last few days, Steve Wiltfong from On3 has put in a prediction that he is going to flip to Colorado. Ted, it's always a big deal when you get a 5-star quarterback in your recruiting class and everything that comes with it. Those guys know a lot of people. They usually bring more guys in your recruiting class. Flipping him from USC is clearly a big deal. But, and maybe I'm assuming too much, but I don't feel like Julian Lewis would make this decision unless Deion Sanders promised him that he was going to be at Colorado next season.
Yeah, and I've been a guy that has said Deion's not staying at Colorado. As soon as Shador's gone, Deion is out of there. This kind of makes me second guess that. Right? And isn't it crazy how fast things change? Like Lincoln Riley, how 3 Heisman Trophy winners, another finalist in there, just clipping off some of the best quarterbacks in college football, has been able to make his pick, right? Whenever whoever he wants, he can get the quarterback that he wants. And like things change very quickly, very quickly.
I just think everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people assume that once Shadur Sanders goes to the NFL, that Deion's going to be out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the first time where something has happened where I went, hold on. Maybe he is actually in it for the somewhat long haul at Colorado. And that would be a massive thing for Colorado football. Because you look at what he's done to that program, he's completely revitalized that thing. And now they're winning games. They're selling that place out. It's rocking. Like everyone's talking about Colorado. And it was also a reminder. If Deion Sanders just put a little more effort into high school recruiting, my goodness, what could Colorado be? Because in this ranking will change if Julian Lewis does flip, which it sounds like he's going to. But they're having a great season. He's Deion Sanders. And they currently have the 79th ranked recruiting class in 2025. Only 10 commitments.
I agree with you, but there's something to being inaccessible that makes you does that make sense? Like if you just say, no, we don't really recruit high school kids. And you're not in every high school, like doing the full round, just showering people with all of the things that you get whenever you come here. Look at what everyone has done. You're out of reach for high school kids. Like, man, I wish Colorado recruited guys. No, they only recruit like the very best in the country. They only take a handful of spots. So it makes it like that more coveted because they don't do it. I mean, there may be something to that.
Maybe. And maybe the most effective thing is getting Julian Lewis in the boat and then having him do your recruiting for you.
Yeah.
But we'll see. It's been a really good season for Colorado. They may have a guy that wins the Heisman Trophy, but this Julian Lewis news and what it could mean for Deion Sanders' future at Colorado, I, I think that's the biggest news of the season for Colorado is that because I can't imagine he would come without Deion Sanders saying, hey, no, 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 I'm going to be here. Maybe I'm assuming too much, but I think that's a fair assumption to make.
Yeah. They need to finish strong. They got Utah game you mentioned, and then they're at Kansas. And don't look now, but Kansas is starting to play some football. All right. They just beat Iowa State. They barely lost to Kansas State on the road, 29-27. House Houston before that, and they've been in some really tight games. And you know that Daniels is going to have that one circled to show up and put his best performance out there.
No doubt. But Colorado being in the mix is fun.
It is. I mean, it's
fun.
what you want. You want your most popular places. Maybe they're popular through tradition or they're polarizing, like whatever. Colorado's it's a big draw right now. People are interested in what they're doing.
No doubt. My loser of the week, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, got a nice win on Monday night over the Clippers. Went with the ultra small ball lineup. Got to witness Shai Gilgeous-Alexander drop a career high 45 in person, Ted. Had a lot of fun doing it. Probably wouldn't have been that close of a game if Norman Powell didn't just catch fire. My goodness. But SGA is very good at basketball. That was fun to watch. And I was really impressed with what Jalen Williams did. 28, 8, and 6, and he started at center. Like he was battling Zubats like the entire game. But he was also running the floor, had some awesome dunks late. It was just a really good performance, but he was having to do that because Chet Holmgren fractured his iliac wing. I did way too much iliac wing. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. I think I'm saying it right. But I did way too much iliac wing fracture research after that news came out, Ted. He fractured his damn pelvis, man. How does this happen? Why?
Because the Thunder can't go a season without some type of injury setback. But
are we cursed? Is the state of Oklahoma cursed this year?
Yeah. It's okay. The NBA finals are in 2025.
He's going to be back.
He'll be back.
He's going to be back. And I asked a buddy of mine that's a hip specialist, does hip replacements. Said, tell me what's what, man. I need to know. He made it sound like Chet's going to be fine. Won't affect him long term. That did make me feel better. He said he'd think he could be moving around in more like 6 weeks. Thunder said, hey, he'll be reevaluated in 8 to 10. Maybe just a little more conservative timeline from the Thunder. But the dude broke his hip. He fractured his pelvis. Have you ever heard about this happening to a basketball player?
No.
With the year we're having in this state with football, a guy that was playing at an all NBA level who's on his way to maybe be a defensive player of the year fractures his iliac wing. Like, what's going on here?
You think when he comes back, he's going to be wearing those hockey pants, that have all of the padding in them all the way up?
Whatever he has to do
that in the NBA,
whatever Chet's got to do to protect that pelvis, do it.
Do it.
Come out in one of those sumo things.
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess there's not much hip protection on those. That was not a good example. But maybe you just give him a football girdle. Let's throw some old school. You remember the hip pads where you had to lace it in with the belt? Those things
lace
will protect anything. They're this big.
lace some of the old high top hip pads into
Yeah,
his
hell yeah.
his, his pants. Dude, that was the single best rule change college football made is whenever they got rid of that. I had I wore hip pads, Gabe, that were like you see this thing of paper. They were like this threaded into the top of my uniform. After, as they allowed them, they got smaller and smaller. Finally, they're like, okay, what are we doing? Be done with it.
I You don't like hip protection. Interesting.
I love hip protection, but also I like being able to run way better.
You're a fan of running fast. I get it. Us offensive linemen not really concerned about it. Although a little hip protection when you're cutting people. Now there's way less cutting for whatever reason in college football now. No one cuts on the backside of zone anymore. Just so stupid. But you want a little something if you land on the hip cutting someone.
Hey, if you've had a hip pointer, that will change your opinion. I never have, but I can imagine that change your opinion of wearing hip pads. I've had a deep thigh bruise, and it definitely changed my opinion of wearing the thigh pads, the thigh boards.
Need Isaiah Hartenstein to get back.
What's his time? So yeah, what is the timeline on all of this?
Seems like a couple more weeks for Hartenstein. Remember, it was just a broken hand. Jalen Williams needs to get back. The other Jalen Williams. Figure out that hammy, man. Come on. As much fun as it is to watch the Thunder play the ultra small ball lineup, you're asking too much of Jalen Williams and Alex Caruso. Those guys will get worn down if they have to guard centers consistently over a large stretch of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't want J-Dub getting worn down. Him having to do it for a couple games here and there, okay. Him having to do it for multiple weeks, a month, not okay. So
Well,
need Hartenstein back, need the other Jalen Williams back, because I don't know when Chet's coming back. It's going to be a while.
it feels like Christmas-ish, right?
No,
Christmas or
like All-Star break, like February. You remember 8 to 10 weeks to be reevaluated. That doesn't say that's when he starts ramping up.
yeah, I was thinking the 6 week number that you threw. I forgot that was the that wasn't the Oklahoma City Thunder's deal. So yeah, okay. Well, so they're tied right now at the top at 9-2 in the Western Conference with Phoenix and Golden State. Like, what's reasonable to expect before they get back to full strength?
Well, they still have SGA and Jalen Williams. And if they can get Hartenstein back soon, you feel good about them being, I would say, in the top four,
Top 3 or 4, yeah.
top 3 or 4. When Chet gets back, let's say top 5. But you got to be smart with it. It's not something that requires surgery, so it's interesting. But they were so healthy last year, which is one of the reasons they ended up being the number 1 seed. Guys played night in and night out. You didn't have key guys miss long stretches. And that's clearly not going to be the case this season. So how do they handle it? I don't know, but I know this. I love Chet Holmgren's tweet.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't know
good.
if he had, and I'm not talking about the long, insightful one that was awesome. That one was great. I'm talking about this one. I can't believe this MF still made the lay. WTF, I'm pissed. That's awesome. Just laying in a hospital bed, pissed that Wiggins made the layup. It's great. I love how competitive that guy is. Please come back soon, Chet. Please.
He went down like a redwood, and it, I guess that's been the concern, right? Because he's just like that's why you. I mean, not that this wouldn't have happened if Hartenstein was back, but I mean, that's kind of what the fear is. There is the slight build be an issue.
It's just a what basketball player fractures their hip?
I'm actually surprised it hasn't happened more. That falling on that hardwood is just brutal, man.
Someone make Chet some custom padding so this never happens again. Easy fix, right?
Yeah,
I think that's reasonable. Thunder Pelicans Wednesday night. No Zion. Feel good about it.
yeah,
Zion's hurt again, Ted.
yeah.
Hammy.
Actually, don't present it as Pelicans with no Zion. It's understood no Zion. Whenever he's playing, then you say Pelicans with Zion.
Got it. Makes sense. The Pelicans are playing the Thunder tonight.
I hate it for that guy, man. I mean, that's
Ah,
brutal.
I just hate it for all basketball fans. You hate it for him, but when he's healthy, he's so fun to watch. Just a physical marvel. But at least he got his extension.
Oh yeah, he got his extension. That's right. He's set.